Back here on SportsLine, talking Titans, number one seed in the AFC. We'll get into how exactly they capped it off, led by their quarterback, coming up in a few moments. But for now, we go back to the phone, 737-7767. The number, say hello to James. James, good evening and welcome here to SportsLine.
I got a comment. You know, everybody talking about the plays and all, but that last play before we got the touchdown where Tannehill almost went down and nobody said anything about Taylor Warren. He hit Taylor Warren and bounced off of him. Taylor Warren hadn't have been there. He'd have went on the ground. And I think that right there what saved the game. Taylor Warren standing there in that one spot. And I think it's what saved the whole thing.
Well, certainly.
Probably getting off there and get your comment.
Yeah, well, certainly Tannehill's ability to avoid that sack, however it happened, was shades of Steve McNair in Super Bowl 34, getting out of that headlock or whatever and springing free, or Eli Manning in Super Bowl 42, spinning free and then hitting David Tyree down the field. It was a miraculous play by a quarterback to stay alive in that situation, and then not just to get out of the sack and maybe scramble and pick up a few yards, but to find Nick Westbrook-Ikhine downfield wide open for a 36-yard gain. It was the biggest play of the day by the Titans, and it put them in a position to score in the second half after they had not scored. And the Texans were just moving up and down the field offensively. The Titans needed something to happen. If he gets sacked on that play, you punt the ball back to Houston. And the Titans didn't stop Houston in the second half offensively. Instead, you get away from the sack, you get the big play, you drive down the field, Tannehill to Jones for the touchdown, Julio's first touchdown as a Titan, which was great to see. And all of a sudden, you're back up by 10, and they were able to close out the football game. That play, though, absolutely huge in the process of getting it done. And the guy who was the architect of that play, of course, was quarterback Ryan Tannehill. He's taken some criticism this year because he hasn't had the same statistical season that he's had the last couple of years. He's had a lot of turnovers in the course of the season, but he got it done on Sunday in Houston, leading the Titans to the most important drive of the year to get that touchdown and ultimately win the game. Go to line one, say hello to Kevin. Kevin, good evening.
Nice to talk to you guys, Steve. First of all, I got to say congratulations to the Tennessee Titans and that coaching staff. I don't think people understand what that kind of play over turnover. I believe he said 91 this year.
Yep.
That is so difficult to have that many players, position players, and coach them up good enough to not only understand their position a little bit, but make them proactive and be competitive in their position. I don't think many people really understand how difficult that is. So congratulations to the Titans. I can always say there is no quit in that team or in that locker room, because I think they weeded out those players over the last couple seasons because they have a commitment to win, and it's obvious. Now, let's get to the game. First of all, I don't know what happened in that first quarter. I think it was, I don't want to pick somebody without knowing his name, but there was a punt where it wasn't the best punt, and they would already had good field position, but then there was a hit out of bounds that tacked on another 15. I think his number was 33. You would probably know that better than me right now. But, boy, I don't think you'll see that player on the field much in the playoffs, because they said he was a young player, maybe first year, second year. I don't immediately recall.
Yeah, he was a practice squad elevation for the game. So, yeah, there's no question that can't happen.
Yeah, not on a Mike Rebel coach team, I can tell you that. And then, again, in the second, there was another questionable block in the back call on a punt. I mean, this has happened the last few weeks with the Titans, and actually, against them as well. So, I guess I can say it's kind of unfair both ways. And I don't know what was up with them trying these little trick plays and stuff with little razzle-dazzle. I don't think there's no need for that in the last game of the regular season, because that's just my personal opinion. And then also, when it comes down to the game itself, I don't know if they had a lapse in the third quarter. I just think that they lost a little focus. Maybe I'm just contradicting myself, but give the Texans some credit, man. They came out to play. And you can't knock a team that even doesn't make a difference what the record is. You made a comment on that earlier. But they're going to come out and play you hard and you ain't ready, well, guess what? You are in trouble. And now, my last thing, going off the team right now, but I heard earlier in the week that they're talking about maybe moving the Super Bowl from L.A. to Dallas. I don't really get a lot of media because I work a lot. Is there any truth to, are they still throwing that out there like a month out of the Super Bowl?
Yeah, there's a possibility of that. And Kevin, we appreciate the call. Good stuff there. There is a possibility that they would move the Super Bowl. It's all based off of COVID and rising case counts. It's scheduled for SoFi Stadium just outside of Los Angeles. And as we all know, throughout the entire course of the pandemic, California has been very aggressive in the way they've tried to legislate the state in how they handle COVID. And they've had hard lockdowns. They've had in-depth and long school closures, and they've had a lot of public venues closed. And as these cases go back up, some of those restrictions are coming back into play. There have been some games in college basketball out there played in front of empty arenas. There have been some other measures put in place, and I think the NFL is concerned that their moneymaker, the flagship of the NFL, the Super Bowl, the biggest event in sports every year, could somehow get played in a stadium that isn't going to be full, or that doesn't allow them to put forth the product that they expect to do. They have the assurances from the state of Texas, from Dallas, and from the Cowboys that AT&T Stadium will be ready to go if need be. And so with that being the case, I think there is the possibility. Now, I think it has to happen now, basically. I think that decision is going to have to come this week, probably before any game is played in the playoffs, because so many things get set, and the NFL is putting everything into place. I mean, they've had these plans in place for years for Los Angeles and for the stadium out there. And so to uproot the Super Bowl would be the absolute last thing they want to do, and it would cause a whole bunch of headaches in terms of trying to move those types of things to the Dallas Metroplex. But, again, if Jerry Jones and the Cowboys are saying you can have a full stadium here, and the state of California is saying you're going to have to go to 50% or less, or we're going to put all these restrictions in on what you can do here, it may leave the NFL with no choice. And we'll find out exactly how they play that out. But I do think a decision there, Kevin's going to have to come relatively soon, because you just can't make the switch overnight on that. So I think if there is going to be a change, it probably comes this week before the NFL playoffs actually kick off. Other good points that you had there. I don't read a whole lot into the second half. I think it was just the Titans pulled their foot back off the gas, and they ran into a team that didn't give up. The other team fought. They weren't ready for it. They got themselves into trouble, but they came up with the plays they had to win the game. And I think you feel good about that ultimately if you're the Tennessee Titans. And now you get a chance to make a few corrections, rest, recover, and get set. But they won that game again because of Ryan Tannehill. And remember back, Week 11, the Titans lose to the Texans at home. They had 5 turnovers in that game. 4 of them were interceptions by Tannehill. It was the worst game he's played in his professional career. Well, he made amends on Sunday. Not just that play we talked about earlier, but he threw for 4 touchdowns, including the game-decisive one to Julio Jones there in the fourth quarter, as the Titans pull out a win and clinch the number 1 seed. John Burton has more in this Publix post-game report.
Since becoming the Titans starting quarterback 2 seasons ago, Ryan Tannehill has also become this team's unquestioned leader. And never more was that leadership more on display and more needed than Sunday here in Houston, when number 17 refused to let a win over the Texans and a shot at the number 1 seed in the AFC Playoffs slip away. Tannehill was brilliant in the first half, completing 18 of 25 passes and tossing 3 touchdowns to help the Titans to a commanding 21-0 lead, and also helping what had been a struggling passing game for Tennessee look sharp.
Obviously, we did some good things. Still have a lot of things we need to clean up, but excited about the way our guys came and competed. It wasn't always pretty. We got off to a hot start. Things got ugly there for a second, but we just kept fighting. But
the Texans didn't quit. They scored 18 unanswered points in the second half to cut the lead to 3. But Tannehill would not let his team be denied. First, scrambling away from a sack on 3rd and 5 and hitting Nick Westbrook-Akina downfield for 36 yards.
I had to pull it back down as I was getting wrapped up, and then just twisted away, got away from it, and I saw Nick waving his arms, doing the Billy White shoes over there on the sideline, so was able to find him and get him the ball.
I wasn't really surprised by it. I just, a guy just playing hard, and to be honest, I think that's something that he's able to do. So just keeping the drive alive, and it was huge. It was a huge play. We needed that play, and I didn't expect anything less from him.
He's been getting hit. He's been standing in the pocket, delivering balls. That was just one play. But he's been showing toughness all year.
On the same drive, Tannehill stood in the pocket and hit Julio Jones for a touchdown that proved to be the difference as he willed his team to a 28-25 win.
Ryan's a hell of a competitor. He shows it, game in and game out. I have the utmost respect for him. He's a leader on the team.
It's a hell of a job by Ryan. Just his ability to, keep some plays alive in the pocket. I thought we were really cool. We took care of the football. All credit goes to the players and Ryan, obviously.
Told the guys, we need to make a play and we need our best right now. So that was my mindset: is we need our best football. I need to be able to be great right now in this critical moment. I'm worried about finding ways to win games, lead my team, be great in big moments, in critical moments, and win football games.
Seems like everyone these days has their list of top 10 NFL quarterbacks, and rarely, if ever, is Ryan Tannehill's name mentioned within those lists. But that doesn't seem to bother Titans head coach Mike Vrabel. He's our quarterback, he said. He has the respect of his teammates and coaches. He's earned it. In Houston, John Burton, News Channel 5 Sports.
Bullock's breakdown now here at the Smart Screen. And Keith, Ryan Tannehill hasn't been as good this season as he was the past couple of years. But in the last 3 games, he's thrown for 7 touchdowns and no interceptions. And he put the Titans on his back on what may have been the most important drive of the season in the fourth quarter.
Absolutely did put him on his back. 7 touchdowns, no interceptions. 7 for 10 on third down, which is huge. This is a third down play right here. His third down efficiency is great. Westbrook-Akina keeps this drive going. The biggest drive of the game after Houston made it close, Right here, he's clutch. Standing in the pocket, delivering the first on another third down, and Julio gets his first touchdown as a Titan, so you got to love it.
Yeah, big TD there for Julio Jones. Now, defensively, the Titans pitch a shutout in the first half, but give up 25 in the second. And we haven't seen them struggle all season like we saw with them against Danny Amendola in the second half.
Yeah, 21 points in the first, 0 points given up in the first half. 50 yards, but Tannehill and Amendola showed up, and that obviously was part of Houston's second half adjustments, where the Titans defensively weren't forced to make any adjustments because they gave up no points and not many yards. So this is a great lesson for the Titans defense to not go to sleep, and going into this bye round, the Titans can only get better because obviously the Houston Texans schemed up some things that they saw in the first half that the Titans the defense was vulnerable to in the second half, and made some things work. So I think this is a blessing in disguise. Obviously, the win is huge, but it didn't hurt them.
Chance now for the Titans defense to make some adjustments. And the best news of all, no Amendola or the Texans in the playoffs.